Shalom Yasharallah. Before you go into this lesson, we give all honor, all glory, and all praises be to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. We give double honors to the apostles and prophets and elders of JMS Camp, better known as Great Minister, for the bring forth the 100% truth that I've been currently edified under. Shalom to the elect, Tabernacle of David. I am a brother Kazakh from Heralds of Yahushai, HOY, coming through this lesson. Now, this lesson is pertaining to what we had to do today, mentioned, which was, I believe, who will stand. The phrase, who will stand. And before we continue, let's get the definition of that word or that phrase, who shall this. Let me get it properly. I don't want to butcher it. As we're showing here, definition of who will stand definition. It says here is a clear, thorough definition of who will stand in the Bible sense. Definition, who will stand equals those who can endure, withstand, or remain righteous before power, under judgment, trial, or testing. All right, it is not just physical standing. It is a spiritual, a moral, and a covenantal endurance. It goes on for the breakdown. The aspect meaning spiritual endurance, remaining faithful. That's the main point. Remaining faithful, obedient, and trusting power during testing, persecutions, and tribulation. Moral integrity, acting righteously and not giving into sin, temptation, or worldly pressure. Verse 3, which is judgment readiness, being prepared to face powers refining, purifying, and corrective actions, and not being destroyed. Faith in action, standing implies active obedience and faith, not more belief or passive hope. That's the point. All right, that's the point we're going to bring about here. And what precept reminds me to concerning that is when he mentioned very, very much clearly, when he says, let me get a precept, I'm not butcher it. So like, he says very clearly, I believe is in Sirach chapter 4 and verses 28, when this was mentioned to us, mostly dealing with the elect. It says, strive for the truth, even unto death, and Yahweh shall fight for thee. It's telling you to do what? Be faithful unto your very end. Be thou faithful unto the will of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. And one person that we have that has been mentioned in the very beginning that has exercised full faith, who will stand insight. I finished reading of who will stand, so let me finish going into it first. There's more. Let's go down to the summary itself. All right. It says, all right. Key point: standing is not about human strength, but about alignment with powers, will, purity, faith, and what? Obedience. That is the part that many people tend to misunderstand. The obedient aspect, which comes about to show faith in your action. All right. Summary: who will stand? Those who endured power, judgment, trial, or testing through faith, righteousness, and obedience. Through faith, one more time, righteousness and obedience. What is the righteousness? According to the scriptures, the law, the ways of the Heavenly Father, and obeying it. That's it. Let me get that precept too. We ain't trying to butcher it. So let me get that precept too. Psalms, I believe, is Psalms 119. I think I went into this already. 172. Bear with me. Right. My tongue shall keep of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteousness. All thy commandments are righteousness. Yahushai is right. Come on. But all thy commandments are righteousness in this aspect. So what it's saying is what? Hey, those who endured power's judgment or trial or testing through your faith and your what? Righteousness and obedience, mean your obedience in the ways of the Heavenly Father, which is your law and testimony, which is your law and understanding, right? And the ways. The laws, statutes, and commandments, to be exact. I want to add on to it basically. But you're not coming into. This is what shows that that phrase, who will stand. And as we see, many of this has been shown. But we have one interesting story showing the full faith in this individual's actions, and if they are willing to go to that extent without question, without hesitation, then you know the character of that individual would be pure. Then you would understand why Yahweh Shai made sure that he was in that lining to use him to bring about his people. And that person, as mentioned, is Abraham. Let me pause now. Except in Genesis 22, we'll start from verses 1. And this is where, let me read it straight to the point. We're trying to keep it short, even though this reading is going to be from 1 to 19. We're going to take our time, but we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. So let's get to the point. It says Genesis 20. I think I should grab it in the... I feel grab it in the Blotter Bible too. So like, yeah, bear with me. Right, I'll get in this one as well. 22 and verses 1. Right. So, in case of any misunderstandings of the scriptures, we could also make it easier by reading the NLT version, which gives it a little more clear or brief. All right, let's go into it. It says, and it came to pass after these things that power did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac. And even though we know Abraham had many sons, thy only son Isaac, because that was the son that was promised to continue his lineage and his generation, bringing about his chosen seed. And we know that, right? This is Abraham. We already had a son from Hagar, or Hagar, whatever she name is, which is Ishmael, right? We good? Good. Let's continue. It says, and he said, Take now thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, will I tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which power had told him. Then the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. Because he was already preparing to do what Yahweh Bahasham would have told him to do. Notice so far, no hesitation, no other way out. He was directly proceeding to do exactly what Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai said, which directly shows that who will stand according to the definition mentioned in ChatGPT. Right? Let's keep going. Abraham said unto young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder to worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, power will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together, and they came to the place which Power had told of him, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. This, you understand this, right? You understand full faith. Because Abraham knew what Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua would have done for him. And even to the very beginning, he was showing that faith. He was showing that direct faith in him when Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua said to leave his family, gather up his things and go. What did he do? He pressed. I bet. Let you go one time. Gather your shit and go. No talk, no questions. Where you going to go? I hope you're going to climb. None of the above. That is the faith we're supposed to display for this truth and for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Maintain that integrity. This is how we're supposed to be like. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I'm saying this now. I pray that you continue to grow me up in this truth, for I strive to be like that one day. Just like that, boy. Full display of faith. I got a precept one time because this one come to mind. I'm sure you all know this already. This is Sirach chapter 1 and verses 14. And it says, to fear Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the word faithful in the womb. Then Abraham portrayed that faith. Verse 15, and she shall build an everlasting foundation with men, and she shall continue with their seed. Now we can directly say for certain Abraham was one of those seed that was filled with faith. By his very actions. Very, very actions. Like go back into it. Go back and continue reading. It says, and the angel of Yahweh called unto him of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. Like pause, stop. You know? Abraham. And he said, here I am. Here am I, Salak. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest power, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son from me. And his only son is referring to the son that came out of also Sarah, his wife. And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thickest by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. If Yahweh Shai didn't, we know it was a test, so he would have intervened. All right, we know the faith that Abraham displayed from the beginning even till now, which made him a faithful, true man, which is why he was one of the recipients to be placed as an example even in the New Testament as to how we're supposed to be like. Faith by our actions. Remember James 2 and verses 18 coming down? Faith by our very actions. Display your faith by your works. If you believe in this truth, you would strive for this very truth. If you believe in Yahweh Shai Shai, you would maintain your integrity and not break or fall because of material things. An easier lifestyle. Strive for this truth. Even until death, and Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai will fight for thee. They are the ones that, let me get again. I'll get this precept. I'm finish it. I'll get this precept. I have two precepts in mind. In one, we'll get it. And Abraham called the name of that place, which is again Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven, and answered and said, By myself I have sworn, by myself have I sworn, saith Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that the blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, which we know cannot be numbered. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham, notice before you continue, thy seed, thy seed, not seeds. So let's continue. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelled at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things, that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she had also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Well, of course, it would end by 19, but I just read all that. So this displays the way we supposed to stand for Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. We're supposed to have that full faith and trust in him as Abraham does. And we know, according to law and testimony and prophecy, that the elect, those that were, let me get a precept. I'm going to John. We start from John. No. John 17 and verses 6. This is why it says what? I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word. These are the men that will be coming out today, displaying the very same faith, much like Abraham, having full faith, no doubt in Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. These are the elect that is going to be saved, are going to be comforted in the end of time. And I'm praying that I'm part of that. Because let me get a precept, and next precept I have in mind as well, Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 9. Scripture made it very clear. It says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he had care for his elect. So I would like to be a part of that number, because as you can see, the displaying of that faithfulness to Yahweh Shemashai gives a very lovely reward. As well as my aim and purpose is to want to serve him in sincerity and in truth. So imagine if a prayer Yahweh Shemashai gave me that feature or characteristic of being able to continue to display full faith, because it has been done before, not trying to boast, but in more minor situations. And we know when things get tough, it tends to break people. So I pray that Yahweh Shemashai continue to purify me through the fire, bring me up into speed, and allow me to display this faith. Now it might sound, we know that means trials are going to come, but I pray that Yahweh Shemashai give me the spirit to endure through all of it. Because I'm telling you that faith, boy, who wouldn't want to have the faith of Abraham, boy? Let me really in this truth. Who in this truth would not desire, doesn't desire to have the faith as great as Abraham did? Scripture says, we got a precept in wisdom, not wisdom, Revelations, I believe. 3. Yeah, Revelations 3 and 10. No man. No, select Revelations 2 and 10. That is the one. It says, fear not of those things which thou shalt suffer, for behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. It says, be thou faithful unto death. This is Abraham being thou faithful, no matter the circumstances. I'm sure he would have been faithful, so even if it was, of course, his life, because his very son's life was at risk, and he did not hesitate. This show characters of full faith, integrity, faith, standing in boldness for the will and the name and the purpose of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Be thou faithful unto death, and the reward is, and I will give you a crown of life. Have nothing to worry about. You are standing for your very power that created all of existence. You think that you stand up from him, you will receive nothing at the end? Come on. Come on. That makes no sense. So I pray this lesson was edifying. I have another precept. No pause. Precept I have is second Esdras. It was slipping my mind. Chapter 2 and verses 45, I believe. I want to read all the way down because it refers to those that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shem Shai, which is that same desired faith that Abraham would have had. He stood so stiffly for the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. That's what going into. Let me read coming up so that you all can understand what this is referring to. Take that, it says, second Ezra chapter 2 verses 40. Take that number, O Zion, which referring to Israel, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which are fulfilled, which have fulfilled the law of Yahweh, which is referring to what? The elect, right? It says the number of the children of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of Yahweh, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. I Esdras, saw upon Mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised Yahweh with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns. Now notice the characteristics of these that he set crowns on. Is going to mention it when you keep reading. It says, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. It says, so I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of power. Now are they crowned and receive palms. And for those confessing the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, they would also be in line confessing the ways of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, the very doctrine, the very purpose of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, which is this truth which we are doing even today. And not just that, it even describes the faith they would have. No matter the cause, they are standing for this very faith, this very truth, even if it means their life till the very end. Let's read. It says, then said I unto the angel, what young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of Power, which is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, whom they have confessed in the world, because it was given to him. it was given to him. These I will confess, which is the elect, like I was going into. It says, then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for what? The name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. What did they do? They stand so stiffly, which was what? Who shall stand? Or who will stand? That is the definition going into. Standing so stiffly meaning having full faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and continue to produce what we know as the works, the actions which demonstrates your faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, showcasing the topic, who will stand? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? It is very clear. This is why I pray and ask that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai could bless me with that faith that Abraham would have had. So despite what, as long as he gives the command via the prophets, whatever the case is, that is not a slow movement, without hesitation. I pray Yahweh Hashem Yahushai keep that in me. It has already started in me, and I pray Yahweh Hashem Yahushai keep that in me to the very end. So I hope this lesson was edifying. I will say Shalom Yasharala, Kal Halal Yam Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakodash. We give double honors to the apostles and prophets and elders of James Camp, better as great minister for the bring forth the 100% truth that I've been currently edified under. Shalom to the elect, Tabernacle of David, and I am my brother Zariak saying to you, my brother Kazak from HOY, Heralds of Yahweh Shai, saying to you, Shalom.